They're saying Auburn's offense will look similar going into 2022. I have my doubts. I'll tell you why on today's Locked On Auburn.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. It is a Charlie Tuesday on a Thursday.
On Thursday.
Double dipping this week, baby. Let's go.
Let's do this.
Since we last spoke, Eric Kiesau spoke to the media, Auburn's new offensive coordinator. He's had a million different titles in the last 12 months, but he is now Auburn's OC. And he talked about how Auburn's offense would look similar as it did last year. And then use the verbiage of, they want, like last year, they want to settle in and establish the run. Well, I don't think those are the same two things.
It does seem.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't establish the run last year because, and I believe that they tried, and then it got away from them. They had to go to the air a little bit more. But even in close games, it's like, nope, if there's an option to run or pass, then we're going to pass it last season. And so it's like, I don't think that's an accurate thing.
Is that a function of the offense or the goals in mind, or is that a function of when you get in the game and you figure out pretty quick what works and what doesn't?
Well, and I said that like after the Penn State game. It just feels like the flow of the game got away from Auburn at times last season.
Yeah.
And, is Kiesau going to be better at having a handle on that than Mike Bobo? Maybe. I'm not sure. I think Bobo kind of went in with some plays that he wanted to run. And I think any OC is going to do that. But I just think it's interesting language. And this is a narrative that's already been pushed a little bit throughout the offseason. And since Kiesau has taken over with the whole, it's going to be similar to last year because we're going to, just like last year, establish the run. And it's like, you did not do that. You did not do that in 2021 with Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter.
I get it. I don't think they did it either. I just don't think they did it because they didn't want to do it. I think they did it because
I agree with that.
They just didn't have the talent in the trenches to be able to push people. Here's one thing I would like to see, like, can we just does it have to be a run to get a touch to a running back? Like, why? I mean, why don't we just focus on touch? Like, they're both the most proven, other than a couple of tight ends, the most proven, like, big play threats that we have. Why does it have to be handoff under center? Like why can't we? It seems like other teams, they have all these like check downs, dump off, screen plays, different ways they can get the ball in the hands of their playmakers. And last year we had a trouble turning around, handing off at a lot of times, especially in short yard situations, and being able to get them the ball and get positive yards. So, I mean, it just seems like I don't know, we're focused on getting the run game going. Well, okay, that's fine, but there's more ways to get the ball into the hands of Tank and Jarquez, and both of them have been proven to be, very good pass catchers. Like, how about we just get them touches, period? Let's just settle in on getting them the ball by any means necessary, 30 times a game. And then however that is, whether it's run or pass, just let it be. Just get them the ball.
Yeah, I mean, and it puts so much less stress on their body as well. I mean, 8 receptions to a running back is not the same thing as 8 carries. It's
8
just
carries
not.
Between the tackles. No, it's
totally
not at all.
Right. And you saw them go to that screen game a little bit to Tank in the Birmingham Bowl.
Mm-hmm. And he broke a long one. He broke a long one.
That was like the biggest play of the game. It was like a 2-yard pass that it probably went like 40 yards. I don't remember the exact specifics of it, but
exactly.
I'm there with you though. I'm there with you. And I mean, even like, your typical swing passes or things like that, all of that is just an extension of the run. It still does the same purpose that you want to run to do, is to defend it. If you think it's coming, somebody, whether it's a safety or a nickel, or if you're having more linebackers on the field, whatever it may be, they have to get closer to the line of scrimmage. That's why you're doing that, is because you want them to respect that they're going to do something short, and then you can either play action off of it, or you can just send them on a swing and they have to respect it. So they have to step up some because they don't want to give Tank 10 yards of space. And so it allows somebody possibly to get open behind that defender. And there's a lot that goes into that. Like there's a lot that opens up once you establish any kind of short yardage game, whether it's running or these short passes that you're talking about. And to me, this probably isn't fair to Tank. It's probably not fair to Tank. But Jarquez, to me, in that scenario, seems like a no-brainer. And in the past at Auburn, and I will put this as Harsin and Gus, and the fact that they both did this, I assume it happens other places too, because they're very different when it comes to, running an offense. But it just seems like they pick a dude in the backfield to be like, okay, you're the pass catching running back. And last year it was Shivers. And like, I love Sean Shivers, probably not the best hands in the running back room last year, but it's like, all right, you kind of lost the RB2 spot because you got hurt at a really bad time. And Jarquez just like couldn't be tackled for 3 or 4 weeks of the season. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, well, we're just going to kind of put you in this situation. And it popped off against LSU. It was fantastic. And then that was like, okay, that's your role for the rest of the season. It's like, it doesn't need to be like that. Tank can catch the football just fine. Jarquez can catch the football just fine. And so I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, the NFL, that in some ways they do have like third down pass catching backs, like the guys that go in and you have your guys that pound, but like our guys could be, they could be that guy in the NFL. Jarquez could be a third down pass catching back in the NFL. So could Tank. And they both could be first down, second down between the tackles guys. So I'm just saying, I just think when you have two of the most talented offensive players are running backs, let's just don't get so tied up in like figuring out how we have to be able to turn around and hand them the ball off. Like, let's just develop everything we can around that. And I'm sure they're doing that. And it's just a terminology thing that we're hanging on, or just a word that we're hanging on the, in practice. But yeah, I mean, get on the ball by any means necessary.
No, I'm there with you. And I'm fine with your role. If you were a third down back and that is your role, I'm cool with that. I don't think that's the same thing. It's like with Gus, it was when Devin Barrett was in, it was going to be a swing pass.
Pass or a wheel route or something.
Right. And with Shivers last year, it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because he was such a good pass blocker and picking up blitzes and things like that. And so I think with experience now, and they probably didn't think Jarquez Hunter was going to play as much as he did last season. And so he probably
was a big revelation.
Reps. Right. Yeah. And so you got to think that he'll get more reps now in blitz pickup and things like that. It could be a really, really solid option in that role. Because I don't really want Tank doing that. I don't really need Tank getting rocked by a 240-pound blitzing linebacker. Like, that's just not something I think really helps this team. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I'm with you 100%. 100%.
Yep. All right. Kiesau also said something else about watching NFL tape. I thought that was interesting for several reasons. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But hey, March Madness is here. If you're listening to this Thursday when this goes up, it happens tonight, folks. And you need to follow along all day long. You can do it time slot by time slot. So you can do the 11 o'clock, the 1 o'clock, the 3 o'clock. I mean, all day. However you want to do it, you need to participate and play at Stat Hero. StatHero.com/lockedon. They give you a ton of different options with how you want to play daily fantasy sports. Specifically today, I imagine a lot of you will be playing daily fantasy basketball. It is so fun. It's designed for you to win because it lists out what you need to do. And for the mode I play the most of, there's 2 teams, and you get to pick one. Stat Hero gets to pick one. Obviously, they take the other one. And so it kind of puts the power in your hands. So go to stathero.com/lockedon and use promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% deposit match. That is stathero.com/lockedon. Use promo code LOCKEDON. Charlie 5, Eric Kiesau, he also noted that Auburn, they have been watching NFL tape so they could better adapt and understand how to really optimize Tank Bigsby's running style because he is essentially an NFL back already, which I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's fine. That's great. The more you can watch better players, I think that makes sense. My main hang up with this is, do you have the offensive line to do the stuff that they do at the next level? That is my question. And Coach Pink, friend of the program with On3, he shared a few videos of Coach Friend. Nope, not Coach Friend. It is Coach Friend. Yes, I always want to say somebody else for the offensive line coach. I don't know why, but working with them with zone blocking and working off of double teams and things like that. And so that's great. I think that's awesome. I think that's exciting. But I'm curious to see what they do differently in the running game because of this. You know what I mean?
Did he say specifically running game, or did he just say like how they get their running backs the ball in the NFL?
I'm not sure. I'm
not sure. He just said, I think just in general, like, how do I take advantage? I think there is like, how do I take advantage? How do I take advantage of a guy like Tank Bigsby?
Mm-hmm.
And the NFL, I mean, a lot of times running backs are towards the top on teams as far as receptions go. Like, I kind of already harped on this. I'm not going to go much further, but
sure.
I just like, hey, let's don't waste this. Let's don't waste this guy. He's got one more year.
Right.
What are we missing? What is something? Let's go look at some film of Ezekiel Elliott or whoever we think are the top backs in the NFL, and look at how they get him.
He's Alvin Kamara. I mean, you talk about a guy that can catch the football.
Yes. I love that. I absolutely love that. How are we able to, what can we do? What are we missing, I guess? And let's maximize, this opportunity, because this is the last year we got him, and we gotta really, really push it, because, hey, this is big recruiting wise. Like, Tank's gone regardless. So, can we make him a better player? Can we help him shoot up the draft boards? And that pays dividends in recruiting too. You got guys like 4-star backs like Jeremiah Cobb over there in Montgomery, who's St. James, who's looking at, let's see how they use this dude who's a pretty much consensus one of the top backs in the country. How are they going to use him? Because that will go a long way into how I feel like they'll use me. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're recruiting all of these dudes that are extremely talented, and they're going up against guys. Alabama's putting first-round running backs into the league. Georgia has done it recently as well. Was Sony their last one? I guess so.
Might have been.
And then obviously LSU with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So can you get into that? Can you get into that rotation? Because it almost feels like to me, if Tank is not a top 50 pick, Auburn dropped the ball somewhere.
I agree.
Because he's got the traits. You just got to put it on tape so the teams will love him.
Man, that hit. Yes, you're absolutely right. If Tank is not a early second round pick, like if he doesn't go, because running backs are devalued. Let's just go ahead and say it. I mean, I think he could be good enough to be a first round pick, but if he's not, middle second round or better, you really drop the ball. You really, really drop the ball. And that doesn't necessarily always have to be on the coaches. I mean, there's a situation, the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, but like they're clearly doing their homework. They're doing their homework and figuring out how we can make sure Tank gets the ball and how can we maximize it. I've said maximize 1,000 times.
It's a good word.
14 minutes, yeah.
It's a good word. Do you think this feels any different from a year ago?
I don't know.
I think we all agree there was more hope a year ago than there is now.
Maybe more verbal. Maybe more verbal, I guess. I guess I don't remember them talking about anything other than just like what their philosophy was going to be. I don't remember us talking about how to figure out different ways that we can get Tank the ball. It was mostly like, we're just gonna, run, set up the pass. We're gonna be a physical team. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It seems a lot more deliberate, I guess, maybe this year. So it does feel a tad different. But at the end of the day, Harsin is going to be the head of the offense. And if it's going to look a lot of the same as last year, you're wondering, you just hope it's different and not just, I guess, coach speak.
Right. I mean, the amount of pass attempts from last year, I just look at this team this year, and it's like your quarterback situation is worse, we think. Your wide receiver position is worse, you think. I think the tight end position is probably better.
Yeah.
Your offensive line, Maybe it's a hair better. You lose Broham. I don't know how much damage that does to you, but in theory, maybe it takes a step up. But I think your running back situations, it takes a step up. And so to me, that all screams throw it less and run it more. But like you said, like we've already kind of harped on, these pass attempts, if you're going to throw it 22 times a game or whatever, which I think would be lower than last season. I don't have that in front of me. But if, 4 of those are checkdowns or 4 of those are swing passes or screens or anything like that, it's going to open up so much to the offense. It's going to give so many people, involved more confidence, whether it's TJ Finley or Calzada, whoever wins the quarterback job. Your offensive line is going to feel like they're doing more, which I think they're better at that type of blocking anyway. So, there's a lot to like about the idea of all of this.
Right.
But we all bought into it a year ago. We all bought into the 1-0 mentality, the 4th and 1, all of that stuff. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen at all.
No, it did not.
And the game got away from the flow of the game in regards to, maybe you were down earlier than you thought and you need to pass to get back in it. And I'm cool with all of that. But I think we can all think of several key moments last season, Charlie 5, where it's like, why did Auburn not run the ball? It was whether it's the 4th and 2 and you decided to throw a fade instead of go to Tank against Penn State, or the 4th and short situation against South Carolina. I mean, there were multiple situations where it's like, feel like we're being too cute. And that's the whole thing. It was like, we're just going to line up and beat you. And it's like, you didn't give your guys a shot.
Yeah. Well, and again, how much of that is mentality and how much is self-realization? I care less about that. I care less about a 4th and 1 if Tank touches the ball in some capacity. You know what I mean? Like last year, he had 21 catches. Jarquez had 12. And he averaged almost a first down every time he caught a pass. Did Tank. So,
and I would love to know how many of Jarquez's catches came after the 5th week of the season.
Yeah, I mean that would be. I haven't done a game log, but yeah, I mean that's less than that's less than 2 catches a game, and then he didn't. When you couple that into not running it more than 15-ish times a game, you're severely limiting opportunities for those guys who are, without a doubt, our best offensive weapons. So, get them the ball. Let's get them the ball. I love that they're watching NFL film, because I just feel like the way the NFL teams use running backs nowadays is just so crazy. That's why a guy like you said, you mentioned him early, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire can be a first-round pick because he's such a great pass catcher and chain mover. But he's not doing it just turn around, hand it off, and beat somebody right in the hole. And he's slick. You get him on a linebacker and it's a huge mismatch. And they talked about putting Tank in the slot a little bit, working him in the slot and working him in space in practice today too, or yesterday. So that's maybe that's going to be something to watch moving forward.
In November of last season, Auburn's top 2 backs, Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter. Let's see, Tank had 6 catches. That includes 4 of them against A&M. Then he had 1 against South Carolina and 1 against Alabama.
You're talking about just in the month of November, when we lost 4 games.
Yep. In the most important month of your season.
6
he had
catches.
6. 4 of them were in one game. And then Jarquez had 0
in one game.
0 against State. Right. 1 against South Carolina and then 2 in the Iron Bowl.
Wow.
I mean, that part of your offense went away. When Auburn fans were most frustrated about where the offense was, I mean, that's not what they were doing. So I think that's worth noting and looking at moving forward. So perhaps that's what he was talking about, with him looking at the NFL and studying, how the NFL uses running backs like Tank Bigsby. I think that's something to be excited about, seriously, because I think that usage just changes the perception of the offense moving forward. All right, I want to get Charlie 5's thoughts on how far basketball can go in March Madness. And also, he's got some really exciting thoughts regarding Cruton for Auburn basketball moving forward. Today's show brought to you by Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. Want to encourage folks to go to built.com and check out all the different flavors. If you like chocolatey flavors, if you like fruity flavors, if you like savory flavors, whatever it may be, they have something for you. Also, their Built Puffs are delicious. They're like protein-infused marshmallows. They're very, very good. High in protein, low in calories, low in sugar. They keep you full. It's delicious. Go to built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That is LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. And I hope you guys have your coin ready to throw at all of the basketball action starting today. BetOnline.net is where you go for all of your betting, wagering, and sporting information. Auburn's at pretty good odds right now. If you're feeling good, if you're feeling confident about the 2-seeded Tigers, go to BetOnline where the game starts. All right, Charlie 5, real quick, before we just jump into things.
All right.
I want to get your thoughts on some of these lines.
All right.
So you can bet one of the prop bets to bet online is mascots.
Mascots. I saw that.
Which mascot will advance the furthest? Wildcats have the best odds because of Arizona, Kentucky, Villanova, and Davidson.
Oh, wow.
Bulldogs is second because of Gonzaga and Drake, but for the Zags. Then Tigers is third at plus 300 because of Auburn, LSU, Memphis, and Texas Southern. They're ahead of the Raiders and the Spartans. I'm surprised there's 2 Spartans in this, but apparently Norfolk State is that as well. So I have no idea. Like, I think that's a good bet. I think
What's the odds on the Wildcats? What was the odd on Wildcats?
Minus 175.
I feel like that's an easy win right there because you got Arizona and, like you said, Arizona and Kentucky.
That's a good one.
I love that one.
Which number 2 seed will advance the furthest? Auburn has the third best odds out of 4. Kentucky is the highest with minus 105. Duke is second at plus 275, and Auburn is plus 375. Then Villanova's after that.
Man, going the furthest, I really like our bracket. I really, really love our bracket. I think Auburn is great value there. Really good value.
And then team to advance the furthest, they have Auburn in one-on-ones with 2 different schools. There's several like one-on-one matchups you can pick.
Yeah.
But Auburn, and this is just awesome that we live in a world where both of these exist. You can bet on just Auburn versus Kentucky, who goes the farthest.
Yeah.
Kentucky's minus 140, Auburn's plus 100. So we'll see about that.
And
then also the other one is who will advance the farthest, Auburn or Duke. And Auburn has the better numbers against Duke in Coach K's last run.
I got to really see Duke's overrated. I got to really see their I got to look at their bracket again. But what's Auburn? Auburn has the minus odds on that one
against Duke, not against Kentucky, but against Duke. So that's amazing.
That
and then
amazing.
You can bet if will Auburn advance to the Sweet 16. Yes is favored at minus 325.
Yeah.
Then no is plus 215. So the big thing is surviving that first weekend, and Vegas seems to think Auburn will do it. So I just think it's fun.
I agree.
We're in all of these against Kentucky and Duke in these one-on-one matchups and in Vegas. I love it.
It's fun to even have those options. Like that's not always been a thing. That's always been that's a lot of fun. And I agree. I do agree with that. To me, I'm more worried about because I kind of feel like if we get past the Sweet 16, we could make a little run. We could make a little run to the Final Four. Because I just feel like the length of USC scares me. USC is a long team. Like every one of them.
Miami. I think we'll play Miami.
You think Miami will win? Well, if Miami beats USC, then I like our chances. USC's length. Arkansas has some long guys that play that can guard our guards that frustrated us.
The Pac-12 stinks, man. The Pac-12 was terrible this year.
They are bad. I'm just worried about length. I'm worried about length and shooting and guard shooting and scoring. So that's that. But then maybe the length may be into our advantage. We may be faster than them. I don't know much about how they play. All I look at is literally like the whole team is 6'7" and above, and they have their point guard 6'3". So length when we're going to start 6 foot. 6'5", you know what I mean, in the backcourt. So that's that. If we can get past the second round, I think we would look at possibly. I think it'd be Wisconsin we'd play next.
It'd be either probably Wisconsin or LSU. You would think.
I think we'll stroke Wisconsin. I think we'll
Really?
absolutely dominate Wisconsin.
I think Auburn would match up better against LSU. Auburn just doesn't play well against those teams that have a slow tempo. I mean, the Wisconsin basketball program and the Wisconsin football program is like the same thing. It's just
they're totally
physical.
Soft big man. They got a soft 7-footer who has like no stats. He averages like less than 10 points a game. He'll get
what is that like? I have no idea.
He'll get abused, and I think they have like one or two really good little guard combo type players that can score. They're going to be slow. We're going to be. I just feel like we'll absolutely dominate. We'll get them, push the tempo, get them running, and we'll dominate Wisconsin. It'll be a lot like those games we saw the last run we made against like a Kansas or a North Carolina, where we're just way too athletic for a team.
Then at that point, I mean, if you're in the Elite Eight, you probably play Kansas, obviously, and it's like
Kansas,
if you're in the Elite Eight,
Iowa, I think
maybe.
They're pretty good. They can score the basketball. I don't think Kansas. I think we can take Kansas. I might be more worried about Iowa because they can shoot the basketball. They can shoot. That would scare me a little bit. But yeah, I mean, if you get past USC, you got Wisconsin and then a very, very beatable 1 seed, probably the most beatable, in my opinion, 1 seed that out there. I guess that would make sense because they're the last.
They're 1 seed off of resume, not off of eye test, in my opinion.
I agree.
Which is a difference.
I agree.
Gonzaga, I think, is a 1 seed off of eye test and not necessarily resume. But the Big 12's good. The Big 12's really, really good. And so they've got a lot of good wins, just like Auburn does, and just like a lot of teams in the SEC do. But like, they are not better than Tennessee, I don't think.
I think Tennessee's going to be in the Final Four.
They're really good, and they're hot right now.
Yeah.
They look like we did in 19.
I have us playing in my bracket. I have us playing Tennessee in the Final Four. I think that works out. I think that's correct. That's how it works out.
I have Auburn playing Kentucky in the national championship.
We're so homers.
Yeah. Twitter, like, I just wouldn't want to be able to go through that. Like, that would be miserable.
Yeah, I'm with you. But I like that's what I said. I went ahead and took I like Tennessee, and I like the way that bracket sets up. Houston's a good team, can knock off Arizona early.
I don't think Houston's very good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they're going to beat UAB, and then they can play. They can play good at times at a high level. So I just don't. I'm not. We'll just have to see. I just think Tennessee comes out of that side.
Yeah, and then I've got Arkansas beating Gonzaga.
I thought about that, and I could easily see that happening. But God, they're just so big. They're big.
Hey, before we wrap up, you're really excited about basketball recruiting right now.
Yeah. So I love the two guys we have committed, Trey Donaldson, Chris Westry. We have a point guard and a combo guard who's over 6 foot tall. A combo guard who's 6'6". He can play 2. He can play 3. He's the guy. He's a guy that we're missing on this team that can, when the shot clock gets low, we're not just necessarily jacking up a 3. He's physical enough, long enough to get to the rim and get fouled.
I hope he can play the 3 day one. That would be such a blessing if they could line him up at the 3. I think it'd be a little out of position for him, if I'm being honest with you. But you may have to do it just out of necessity. And it's like, all right, we got to put you on the floor a ton. So that would be that'd be huge. I don't know if you can start him over Allen. That's the only thing. Like, I wonder what that looks like. And then what happens to Evans minutes, but still, it offers a lot of excitement for sure.
Based off what I can tell, and what I think is going to the way, I'm not going to say names because I'm just going to like give you numbers. Okay, we have 9 returners. Okay, guaranteed returners. That means that's with
Allen.
Yeah, and counting Allen. That means Preston Cook loses his scholarship, graduates. Jabari graduates, not graduates, goes pro. Kessler goes pro. We only had 12 scholarships this year. Okay, so we got 9. We bring in 2. That's Donaldson and Westry. I think we're going to add. Get ready for this. I really think, like where we sit. Johan Troy, he committed to LSU. He did not sign. 5-star big man. We were right there. I think a lot of the experts, basketball recruiting experts, have already put their picks in for Auburn. We may be in the driver's seat. I think in some of the quotes I've seen.
How tall is he?
6'10", but a big 6'10". He is built.
Is he a 5, or does he want to play as like
he could play both. He could play both, but I think he would be an incredible big man for us.
What a sales pitch.
Yes, and you could
I love Dylan, but he does not need to be our starting 5 next year. I don't think
Dylan is so perfect for the role that he plays, in my opinion. Energy, come in, block shots, have a couple big dunks, be very aggravating on defense. I love that, but I'm like you. 20 minutes out of Dylan I just don't think that's where I don't think he's there yet. But yeah, I think we're looking to add Johan Troy, who is going to be another one and done.
Delicious.
Okay, so that's 11. I personally think we're going to lose at least 3 players off this team. Based off everything I've heard, I'm not going to say who, but I think we're going to lose at least 3 players off this team. Okay, so that takes us back down to I think 8 or 9. Regardless, I think we're going to look to add a power forward, and either through the portal, or maybe a kid that's in flux with coaching changes that are happening right now.
Sure.
That could be a high school kid, but I think this is the part that's going to be key. Bruce is going to add a 6'6" 3-point shooting sharpshooter in the portal. Be ready for it. It's going to happen. Don't know. There's tons of names being floated out there. It's going to happen. He will not go into next year without having multiple guys that can shoot 35% or better from 3, because that's the kind of offense Bruce wants to play. And then he's going to have an athlete. Add this Johan Troy kid. You got Jalen coming back for another year. Can be physical inside, and then you're going to add.
Jalen's not one of the 3 that you think would leave.
I don't think Jalen. I think Jalen is the only real power forward that we have on the team. I think he's sitting in a very good.
Devin?
I'm not going to name names because I don't want to. I don't like if they were to want to stay. I don't want to be out there saying I want you to leave. There's at least 3 guys that I think are going to be gone off this team next year. So we're going to have room to add, a couple of guys in the portal, and that will be portal season, which is going to heat up pretty quick. Is going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to start adding. You'll start seeing some sharpshooter names that are going to start popping up, and I think we're going to add at least 1, maybe 2, 6'4", 6'5"-ish 3-point shooting, 38% and above type guys.
Well, he nailed the roster management part of the job last offseason. So
yes,
that'll be fun to see. Charlie 5, how can people find you, hear you, support you, all that good stuff?
Find me on Twitter, _Charlie_5, auburnlive.com, the corner message board, in the Auburn, Locked On Auburn Discord, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday on the Dad Bod Golf Pod.
That does it for today's edition of the show. We'll be back to wrap up our week together right here on Locked On Auburn.